In a world of change, one thing stays the same. Novac's base rates have remained unchanged for a decade, even as people use more electric devices than ever before. Novac continues to keep rates low and reliability high. Novac holds base rates down, even as other prices climb, because you have enough change in your life. Novac, keeping life bright.
We had a conversation yesterday about a Gallup poll which asked the public, do you think we are completely done with the pandemic? Is the pandemic completely over? Dan and I were 100% in our own personal opinion, based on facts, that 100% we're not done with the pandemic. I don't understand how you can say it, but guess what? I think our poll reflected about the same as this poll, Dan. I think it was right around 30% of the public says the pandemic is completely over.
Yeah, I just pulled up the tweet. It's 68%. No, it's not over. 32. Yes, it is.
I don't know how you can say that. I really don't. Considering the restrictions in many areas which are still prominent. And that does not dismiss in any matter the significant progress that we have made. I mentioned the other day, went out Saturday night, had dinner, saw people, saw friends, bumped into people. It's great to do it. But to say we don't have requirements, we don't have job requirements, we don't have travel requirements, which are still tied to the pandemic, you're sticking your head in the sand. We also had a very large political divide in that, too. 4% of Democrats believe it's over. 57% of Republicans believe the pandemic is over. I know a lot of people are sick of hearing about variants. Listen, on this show, Mike Ostrom first here and then elsewhere talked about what they now call the Alpha variant, but the UK variant. And Mike said he believed it could bring us to the worst place we have been with COVID-19, the power of the variant. Thankfully, Mike wasn't accurate on that one. He was right about the power it had in Michigan and to a lesser degree here. But did it lead us to the worst stretch of fatalities and injuries? It did not. And by the way, you're in the middle of a pandemic. This isn't when you're reviewing it years later. And I'll take Mike's track record every single time. Every single time. And this nonsense that Mike only says negative things or is wrong all the time. Anytime you want to match data for data with Mike, let me know. Because his accuracy is outstanding. It's not perfect. Guess what? None of us are. There's a reason why our government and businesses in this country and governments and businesses throughout the world are trying to work with Mike Ostrom. So now we have the Delta variant, Dan, which we know, as we discussed yesterday, has been extraordinarily powerful. In particular in other countries, whether it's Australia, South Korea, England, and the concerns here, especially the concerns in areas where the vaccination rates, in my view, sadly, are way too low. There's only one reason why. There's only one reason why our numbers of Americans who are dying from COVID and are getting sick from COVID have dropped enormously. There's only one reason: vaccines. I think people are making a mistake when they don't get the vaccine. I don't want the government to mandate it in any way. Can businesses and other entities make that a requirement? Sure they can, but not a government. No. L.A. The L.A. County Health Department, Dan, has come out in the last 24 hours with concerns about the Delta variant, encouraging citizens in L.A. to go back to wearing masks. Not requiring, encouraging. So I want to raise this. I want to hear from Dan. I want to hear from you. If this Delta variant lives up to the worst of the concerns, and no one wants this, no one. So don't act like, oh, people are ginning this up and hoping this happening. If anybody hopes people die, then something sad is going on. I wish we were done with this 100% now. Most importantly, Quentin, my son, suffers from low immunity, and even though he's fully vaccinated, it concerns us greatly. Would we be prepared to step back, to start wearing masks again, if it reached lockdowns? Would people follow up on it? We're not there yet. Let's hope that we never get there. But it's out there as a possibility. Would people be willing, or for the folks who dismiss it all the time, they're not going to. But the folks who followed the protocols in the main, would they do it? Because I'm skeptical. I really am skeptical. Let me know through phone call or text. Dan will start it off when we come back. 651-989-9226. Among the texts coming in on if the Delta variant would live up to its worst, and for the seventh time in this conversation, I certainly hope it doesn't. Would most be willing to just take a step back with masks and with protocols? One of the texts reacting to our poll from yesterday, 30% of Americans are not brainwashed. And just my text to this person, go tell that to family and friends who saw loved ones die from COVID. Insulting. That is so repugnant to say that. 600,000 people died in this country. Millions across the globe. Life expectancy in this country dropped by 1.5 years last year. You can disagree on the methods, but you cannot in any way disagree. Or you can. Go ahead, disagree. You're just wrong if you think COVID was some scam orchestrated by somebody. Just sad. Dan, what do you think? Would we, the collective we who took it serious, would we go back to masks? Would we stay in? Would we do those things? Because I think the numbers who would is not as high as we think.
No. I mean, I think some would. But I think even the folks that took it seriously the first time we had mask mandates and lockdowns and stuff, of that group, like optimistically half might still do it. But I just think people are so tired of this at this point that
I think they are.
And if they think they're vaccinated and they think that the vaccine is going to protect them from Delta, then they're just not going to bother.
And early data says yes, but if it changes, that's what I was curious about. Would people take that? I'm going to read some of your texts when we come back because a lot have come in. Linda's construction time check is 1:57. Time to see if your home needs new siding.